So we just came back from our first data collection day in Los Angeles, and we are going to talk about how we executed our experimental design. So the night before we went on our field trip, we baked the store-bought cookies, the Nestle Toll House Break and Bake. And on the specific day, we took the metro down to Union Station, and we transferred to the Red Line in order to get to the 7th Street Metro stop or center. And then we walked to LA Live.
So on our way to LA Live, we stopped at one office building, which is where Tyler's dad works, and so it was Paul Hastings Law Firm. And so on his floor, we tested a bunch of people, sampling the 2 different baskets of cookies that were actually the same cookie, saying that one was homemade and one was store-bought, and then had them fill out a survey which asked them their age group, their gender, and then which tasted better. And then they had the options homemade, store-bought, or no difference.
And then we walked to LA Live to get more random people on the street, and that we went up to people who weren't doing as much activity, so not people who were in a rush. And they actually were more willing to help than we thought. And so we, in general, didn't face as many challenges as we thought that we were going to face, just because we had the controlled setting of office spaces. We also visited Judrick's brother's office in the same building as Paul Hastings, and we did the same thing. We walked around with the baskets, and people were more willing to help because we had a personal connection to someone in the office. And so out on the street, it was a little bit more difficult to find people who were actually willing to help us with our experiment.
And then one other thing that kind of fed into our project was the presentation of how we showed the cookies. The homemade cookies were in a basket, and the store-bought cookies were just in a plastic container, and so that also could contribute to influence people to think just subconsciously that the homemade cookies were actually homemade.
And our results were actually along the line of what our hypothesis has been thinking, or what we have been thinking, and which was pretty exciting because people did actually think that either the store-bought or the homemade tasted better when, of course, they were the same cookies, so that was encouraging.
Around 35% of the people that we tested from the office buildings thought that the homemade cookies tasted better than the store-bought. And then around 65% of the people that we tested in the office buildings thought there was an actual taste difference between the two, so they either picked that homemade was better or that store-bought was better, which is really shocking considering they were the exact same cookie.
But good for our experiment.
So after our first day in LA collecting data, we realized that we had to do some changes to our experimental design, such as instead of saying it was for our psych class, because people were starting to catch on, starting to analyze the cookies more, we ended up saying it was for our stat class, so people would just basically not analyze it and just do it as a regular taste test to help our experiment. And then our next time going out to collect data, we're going to add some randomization by flipping a coin and deciding whether Lauren and Danielle will present the cookies or me and Tyler should present the cookies to whoever our test subject is.
Well, as we mentioned before, there was very few people in LA Live on a Tuesday, so it was quite hard to get subjects to test to help us out for our experiment. So when we go back a second time and third time back to LA, we would think about different locations that hopefully have more people, possibly Union Station, maybe even USC, but we'll still be looking for a better location.